Huzzah, dude. Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, hello. My name is Carly Gifford, and on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I post down videos talking about whatever I want. Lately, it's been TikTok drama. That really seems to be what you guys mostly enjoy. So if that's what you enjoy, then that's what I'm going to talk about, and that's what I'm going to post. I am drinking an iced chai tea latte that I made at home right now, and once again, I am using the Rhode Peptide Lip Treatment in the flavor watermelon slice. I really like this one. I would totally recommend that to you guys. The formula is really great, and it's actually nourishing, which kind of shocked me. I thought it was going to be very bad. It's not. It's exceptional. But that was really all I need to preface this video with, so I think we're just gonna get into it. So if you guys have been on TikTok lately, then I am positive that you have been hearing about the whole situation with BeeBetter. Now, if you don't know, BeeBetter is a guy in his early 20s. He claims that he is the youngest person from Canada to graduate with an MBA in business marketing, which some people have come out to say that he actually just went to a party school. And it's odd that he's the youngest person to graduate, because it's mandatory that you have 5 years experience before you get your MBA. So that's kind of strange. But he posts a lot of videos talking about the downfall of so-and-so, the downfall of Kourtney Kardashian, the downfall of Taylor Swift, like lots of big names. And what some people have pointed out is that he talks mainly about women, and I thought that was very strange. Well, recently, he did a video about the downfall of Kamala Harris. Now, I will be playing this video at the end of the video, so once I'm all done talking, I'm going to play the video and his apology video. But in his video of Kamala Harris, it's very interesting because he claims that she is working with using the blank slate method of campaigning, in that she doesn't have any stances on policies or anything like that. So it kind of gives us as the consumers of her campaign, oh my gosh, I can't talk. As we witness her campaign, we can kind of fill in the blanks with what we think her stance on these different topics is going to be, without her ever having to say what her stance actually is, which is just honestly not true. I feel like she does talk about her policies and like how she feels about different things frequently, but I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but a lot of people pointed out that that is just actually incorrect, that she does have stances, and she's also been the vice president of the United States for the last almost 4 years. So it's like, I'm pretty sure that she has a stance on a lot of these major topics that come up during, presidential election years and whatnot. But anyways, he also says that she relies very heavily on her identity, and that she uses social media to make all these different viral moments and all these memes to make her seem more likable and give her like a personality, like make her more personable to the everyday person, which is true. She's very smart about using social media, but then he says that, she's part of the administration that is trying to get rid of TikTok. So he's like, she's going to use TikTok to get elected. Then when she gets elected in January, we are going to have TikTok being deleted from the App Store. That too, we don't know that. She might not actually want TikTok to be deleted. She might be fine with it. But anyway, so that was another thing that he brought up that was very interesting. And then he also claims that she has not done the intellectual research to be in office, and that in the debates she's going to be underprepared and she's just going to get slaughtered in the debates. Oh, another reason that he claims that she uses like the identity tactic and whatnot, because she is the first female vice president. In his argument that Kamala uses her identity as a tactic to get elected, he also claims that because she is the first African American and Asian American woman to run for the presidency, that she is relying heavily on that. So he's like, not only is she the first woman vice president, but she's also the first African American, Asian American woman to run for the presidency, which genuinely, I haven't heard her use that once. And again, not that I'm, consuming every single second of this political campaign, but I've been trying to watch as much about it as I'm interested in, which is something I think we should all kind of strive to do. But I've never once heard her use that. So that was very interesting that he felt okay in kind of insinuating that. all in all, it was a very rough video, and this is how many followers he had when I first started learning about this whole situation, and this is his follower count as of Sunday, September 1st. I thought that was crazy that he's losing that many followers, but it also kind of makes sense because he's Canadian, and a lot of people were like, why are you talking about, the US's politics? But it does make sense because in the video he says that whether we realize it or not, that America's economy has a big effect on the rest of the world's economy, which I will agree with that. I don't think that just because you're from a different country, you shouldn't be able to speak on another country's politics. I think though that if you do, you should do the research for it, and as long as you do that, like, fantastic. Now, he has deleted that video, but I found another account had uploaded it, so I saved it, and then I also have his apology video, which is honestly a very polished, very meticulous video. Like, he has done a complete 180 from the original video, which is absolutely crazy. And people were like, yeah, this might have been a planned thing. He might have planned this and then had the apology video like all up and ready kind of, and knew that it was going to gain him some views and whatnot. But it's funny because he's lost so many followers. So, he also has a honey business that's very interesting. So I'm going to include a fun little breakdown, I think, on that business. Someone did a very fun, cheeky little video, so I'm going to include that. And then also, you guys should go to Brenna Perez's Instagram account, or excuse me, not Instagram, TikTok account, because she does a fantastic breakdown of how BeeBetter is actually a Nepo baby. So please, please, please make sure to go check that out if you guys are interested in this at all, because it's such a good, has 2 videos. They're both incredible, and she has facts and sources in her video and everything, and it's fantastic. So for sure, go watch that. But that's it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That is it for me today. Thank you for watching. Now I'm going to roll into the videos that were in this situation. Bye, guys.
Hi, so I have a master's degree in business, and today I'm going to use it to analyze the marketing strategy of Kamala Harris's campaign, and ultimately why I believe if she continues with the horrible marketing strategy she has been employing, why she will ultimately end up losing the presidency to Donald Trump. So obviously this is a highly emotional and contentious topic for a lot of people, but the reason why I did want to speak on it is that I think there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between the marketing of a product and the marketing of a political candidate. And while I wish that wasn't the case, because I wish that politics was less of an exercise in personal branding and more of a deeper discussion on substantive policies that will actually be impacting the everyday lives of human beings, that just simply is not the case. And although I'm not American, I am Canadian. Your elections have consequences for the entire world, so I think anybody that wants to put their 2 cents in is allowed to. So based on my objective analysis, I believe that Kamala Harris's campaign is built upon very flawed marketing strategy that is very heavily relying on superficial social media engagement, identity politics, and a highly crafted and tightly controlled public image of her persona that is so far removed from the reality of who she is and so socially and media engineered to the point that it is essentially a house of cards that is doomed to collapse. So the first marketing strategy that Kamala Harris is employing, and we are all collectively experiencing it whether we realize it or not, is the blank slate strategy. This is essentially where she is being intentionally vague and ambiguous in the language that she uses and the way that she appears publicly in order to take advantage of the psychological phenomenon of projection. Because if you are extremely vague and generic and say some of the right words without specifically committing to policies or being very clear about what your values are, human beings will simply project onto you what they want to see. Progressives will see her as extremely progressive and forward thinking. More moderate voters will see her as somebody that's a little bit more measured, and you can kind of see reasoning behind why they're doing it. I don't think it's completely stupid, but I think it is doomed to fail because although it is working in the short term, she's going to eventually be put into scenarios like debates where she will be forced to take firm stances on topics, and because she hasn't done that intellectual work to decide where she really lands on these important issues, she may end up looking unqualified for the job. So the next issue with the blank slate strategy is the only reason it's even remotely effective is specifically because she is solely relying on identity politics. And although I completely understand and respect the excitement associated with nominating the first woman president, the first Black woman president, the first South Asian American Black woman president, And that's something that is exciting and something that will understandably galvanize a certain demographic of the population that will vote for her solely based on that alone. I do not believe it is a substitute for an actionable policy platform that will actually impact the lives of the American people, because people are currently suffering economically and they want to understand and feel secure in the fact that you have a plan to ameliorate their suffering. So it seems like her campaign is relying on the sole fact that people will be so excited to vote for the first Black woman that they will be willing to overlook the fact that she doesn't have a true vision for the country. I do not believe that is something that should be relied upon, especially in the context of the United States, where the election will be decided based upon tens of thousands of votes in specific swing states. And the other issue with this lack of a policy platform is it leaves her very vulnerable to attacks from Donald Trump, because they can project any image onto her that they want, and she has no reasonable way to articulate a defense to them because she doesn't really stand for anything. So the next issue that I have with the Kamala Harris campaign is they seem to be very heavily relying on social media engagement as well as celebrity endorsements to create this sort of image of widespread popularity. The issue with using social media as a way to evaluate the current success of the Kamala Harris campaign is that social media metrics can be extremely inflated and very misleading, because a huge demographic on TikTok, for example, are people under the age of 18. They will not be voting. And it's also further inflated by the fact that many people on TikTok are in international countries who just enjoy watching the politics for the show of it, like me. But we will not be voting in the election, so it can lead her campaign to be in a place where they are overestimating their grassroots support, when in reality they don't have it because it doesn't really exist. So the danger is that this perceived popularity may not translate into actual votes, particularly in the swing states, which will be the deciding factors of this election. And her campaign's obsession with social media and viral moments and celebrity culture is further illustrated by the decisions they're making by having Megan Thee Stallion twerking on stage, or thinking it was a good idea to have Oprah Winfrey appear at the DNC talking about the middle class, because they clearly do not have an understanding that the average American and average person absolutely despises celebrities, does not want to be talked down to from them, and will not be voting based upon who they endorse. And I'll go even further that I think it does the complete opposite of what they're trying to accomplish. The mere presence of Oprah Winfrey will directly result in people voting against Kamala Harris because of how much people despise celebrity culture and despise billionaires like Oprah Winfrey and everything that she stands for. And if I was to summarize the core problem with the personal brand of Kamala Harris, and something that I think will continue to bubble underneath the surface of her campaign until inevitably explodes, it is an authenticity issue. And the perfect example of this is the glaring contradiction of the fact that Kamala Harris is using TikTok as a way to influence young people to vote for her, to make it appear like she cares about their issues and that she hears them, when in reality she is part of the administration that introduced legislation to ban the app, which is the most insane violation of freedom of speech I have seen in my entire lifetime. And if she does become president in November, come January, the app is set to be taken away from the App Store forever. They literally banned the app because of lobbying from Mark Zuckerberg, because instead of spending money on his own app improving Instagram, he would rather take out his competitor altogether. And because we have a completely corrupt government, he's able to do that. So I can't even imagine the fact that she's been able to run this campaign and has not been questioned about this glaring contradiction. And this brings us, of course, to the most obvious question, which is, why hasn't she been questioned about this, or really anything important? And the reason is that her campaign officials know that she has a historical tendency to say extremely stupid things and make very dumb gaffes when she goes off script. When she is reading off script, she is good, she is charismatic, she hits her points. When she is asked a question that is in any way she is unprepared to answer, she makes huge mistakes. Here are a few that she's done before. At one point, she said three times in 3 separate videos that 220 million Americans died from COVID. She obviously meant to say not that, because there's 300 million Americans. I think we would know if they all died from COVID. Another time, she was visiting the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone in South Korea, and she praised the Republic of North Korea and said that she wanted to be allies with them, and she didn't realize that it was South Korea. And then she obviously says word salads a lot, where we don't understand the context of all in which she lives and where she came before her pretend to be. One of my favorite quotes from her, she said, "It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time." And this is just the reality. She is not good speaking off the cuff. She knows it and her campaign knows it. If you need further proof, let's watch how she answered a very simple question on inflation.
And also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
And the reason why I'm showing you this is so you understand the fragility of such a tightly controlled image when she is inevitably put into a high pressure environment like a debate or an interview where she has to answer questions and she can't articulate herself. This crafted idea that she's an extremely competent person gets shattered immediately. So if Kamala Harris really wants to win this election, she needs to radically and quickly move away from the superficial, hollow rhetoric that she's been engaging in and put together a substantial policy platform and articulate a very clear vision that she has for the country. If she does, I not only think she will win the presidency, but all three branches of government, potentially laying the groundwork for actual transformational change. And if she doesn't, I think she will simply become a cautionary tale of someone who sought the highest office in the land without actually fully grasping the weight of its responsibilities. And she also has to sit down for some press interviews because it's making her look very entitled that she received the nomination not getting one vote and won't even talk to the American people directly when Donald Trump is. So I wanted to come on here and address a previous video that I posted, a video that has now been deleted for obvious reasons because it completely missed the mark in every single possible way. And the reason why that video was so poorly received is purely because of me. It was poorly researched, it was poorly articulated, and the reaction is now completely understandable. And there are some specific things that I wanted to correct, because I'm not going to just delete the video and move on when it did upset people. And when I'm constantly talking about accountability, I'm going to hold myself accountable as well. So the first thing that I said in that video that I'm so disappointed in myself for saying is I said that Kamala Harris's campaign is mostly centered around identity politics, particularly her identity as being the first woman president. And the reason now why that was such a stupid comment is that it is factually wrong. And after spending the day talking with people who have made videos about my video and watching videos for myself through a different lens, I now see she actually hasn't mentioned that one time. And this is so disappointing for me to know and to realize and admit that I adopted a right-wing talking point to the point that I actually thought it was true and then perpetuated that as if it was a fact when it is irrefutably wrong. Kamala Harris hasn't even mentioned one time the fact that she's a woman, and that is something that has been projected onto her by other people. And I'm so disappointed in myself for saying something that is just literally not true. I think part of it was maybe I was projecting the fears from Hillary Clinton's campaign, where that was the focus, and Kamala Harris's is not. It's completely different. And she hasn't made that the focus at all. So I want to apologize to everybody for using my platform to repeat something that I can now see was literally just false. And the reason why I'm so specifically disappointed in myself for that comment is that I've never thought of myself in my entire life as somebody that has a sexist bone in my body. I have 4 sisters. Every single adult friendship that I have is with women. So it's not been something that I've mentally taken inventory of before. So now to realize actually that I clearly had a bias, because that is the only way that a factually incorrect statement like that could have been adopted in my mind as reality, shows that I do have biases and things that I need to work on. And I absolutely will be taking time outside of this video to realize why that happened and make sure that it never happens again. So the other specific thing that I said that I do want to hold myself accountable for is I said something to the effect of, if Kamala Harris hasn't done the intellectual work on picking a specific policy, she could be in a scenario like a debate where she's backed into a corner and doesn't know what to say. The choice to use the words hasn't done the intellectual work, while although I had no malicious intention behind it, I can see was a completely idiotic statement to make, and I need to be much more careful when I choose my words. I took a very narrow-minded view of her campaign and saw that there were no policies listed on her website, when in reality, she has spoken about many policies. And when she does, they're reported on by so many news outlets, it probably isn't necessary to have them on the website anyway, and I'm sure at a certain point she will. And to imply, which was not my intention at all, but to even imply that she's not working hard is ridiculous. And I fully recognize she's probably currently working harder than anybody else on the planet, and there's immense amount of pressure on her, and she's in a very unique situation where she's only been doing this for a month, and I fully regret my choice of words when speaking about that topic. And the other reason why my video rightfully angered and upset so many people is because of the factual reality of our society is that women are held to higher standards than men, period. And people of color are held to higher standards than white people, and women of color are arguably held to the highest standards of all. And that's true in families, in relationships, in school, in work, and in politics. At every single level, it's true. And if you need any proof of that, we can literally compare Obama's presidency to Trump's presidency. Had Obama lost an election, denied that he lost the election, and then encouraged his supporters to invade the Capitol, to override the democratic process, and take over the government violently, does anyone actually deny the fact that he would have been eviscerated viciously by Fox News and by Republicans? He would have never lived that down. He would have never gotten away with that. And he was criticized in his presidency for the color suits that he wore because they were grasping at straws. There was nothing else they could criticize him for. And then we have Donald Trump, someone running, who actually did that and who got away with it. Can you imagine if a woman did that? How crazy the media would have made her out to be? But somehow he still retains his image as being a strong, competent, intelligent leader, which he is not. He's a crazy person. And I am so sorry that my video could have come across in any way that I would ever support him in any way, shape, or form. And I want to preface this by saying I in no way am excusing the stupidity that was my decision to post that video specifically at this moment in time. And my original intention behind the video does not matter as long as the outcome was negative, which it was. But I just want to provide a little bit of context as to what my mindset was at the time, so you can hopefully understand why I was initially so defensive and confused by the backlash. I'm a marketing consultant, not a political consultant, clearly, but we are specifically trained to be brutally honest, even at the expense of possibly offending the client, because to not do so is considered a disservice to them. So before I filmed that video, I did some shallow research that should have been so much more thorough. But I looked at the polling of the swing states, and I noticed that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are in statistical ties within the margin of error of every single swing state. And when I combine that with my understanding that pollsters have historically underrepresented Trump voters in the past, and also the fact that the Electoral College structurally favors Republicans, I was actually worried. And in my own stupid, twisted mind, and I understand it was dumb and it came across as dumb as it was, but I thought I was sounding the alarm and possibly bringing up a topic that could help improve her campaign, which is adopting some stronger, more progressive policy positions like Bernie Sanders. And that's ultimately the reason why I didn't post a video on Donald Trump, because I don't want to help further his campaign in any way. That is also just not the side of the internet that I'm on. I'm on Kamala Harris TikTok, so I naturally felt more compelled to speak about that. And the fact that the race is close is not only common knowledge to every single American, and you do not need to hear it from me, but it's actually further reason why I never should have filmed and posted a video that could have been contorted or used as ammunition to not vote for Kamala Harris, who is ultimately and obviously who I would vote for in a race between her and the alternative being Donald Trump. And I do want to genuinely thank everybody that held me accountable both publicly and privately, and specifically to the people who were hurt by my video, but still took the time and had the patience to speak with me in so much detail and give me the space and the grace to understand something that I should have understood and should have never happened to begin with. I'm extremely grateful for that. And ultimately, I do not believe having a social media platform is something I'm entitled to. I think it's something I have to continually earn. and I absolutely will be putting checks and balances on myself and my content to make sure a mistake like this never happens again. And to the people who are genuinely disappointed in me, I'm genuinely very, very sorry.